Hello, I'm Alexander Sattery Robinson. I am the Director of External Affairs with Roberta's House.
And I'm Bill Hill. I'm a 5-year volunteer with Roberta's House.
So, Bill, tell us about the special person that you lost that brought you to Roberta's House.
Well, I lost two special persons, but one that was really hard was a twin. And I did not know how to go through the grieving process. That was really helpful for me until someone told me about Roberta's House. And I joined Roberta's House, one of the groups there, and found a camaraderie for those who have lost loved ones and found out how to grieve properly. And I made it up in my mind. I said, once I get through the 10-week program and when I retire, I would become a volunteer with Roberta's House. So I've been with Roberta's House for 5 years now. I've been with several groups, and I find that it's very rewarding for volunteers and also those who we're trying to help through the grieving process.
Can you tell us a couple of fond memories about your twin?
Yes, well, we were, like I said, we were twin, and when she moved, I moved, and it was really hard. We were just super close, and it was really hard because she had gone through cancer, and seeing her suffer uh, took a toll on me. And like I said, I did not know how to grieve properly. And even at the funeral, seeing her, I did not even want to go in to see her because we looked so much alike, and I was think that I was looking at myself. So it was kind of hard. But once I got to Roberta's house, the first group time for sharing, and they helped me greatly. So that I'm appreciative of that. And then, like I say, once I became a volunteer, I'm able to uh, relate to those who are going through the grief process themselves. And I think being a volunteer is very, very important. And it's rewarding. Most of all, it's very, very rewarding. So I think if anyone has some time on their hand, they should volunteer for Roberta's House outside of other groups as well.
So, when you talk about the grief process being difficult
Mm.
in those early days in the grief process, can you describe maybe some of the feelings that you might have
Yeah,
had? And
yeah. Well, some of the feelings that I had, I think I was bottling, like keeping everything inside instead of releasing and telling someone how I felt because someone would always tell me, and I hate that cliche, I know how you feel. That's the worst cliche because you do not know how a person feels who's going through the grieving process because everyone grieves different. And that was me. I was holding everything in. And then once I went to Roberta's house and went with the group and did the activities and was able to open up, it really helped a lot. And then it made life a little bit easier. And each day and each year it became easier. So now I'm able to grieve or accept grieving as something healthy.
right, so we know that grief isn't something that you get over or that goes away. It's sort of just
Or
like
stays with you.
right.
Yeah,
It's just like real
right,
love. It
right,
doesn't
yeah.
ever end,
It's
and so it might
it,
change over time.
right.
So you tell me a little bit about you. You mentioned some of the processes
Hmm.
and things that happened during the group. Can you
Hmm.
tell me about
Yeah.
any of the process or something that?
Well, I think that the rewarding process was what we call journaling, where we were able to write down how our feelings were and our emotions. And then being in a group setting, we were able to share and listen to other people uh, tell their story and can come to the table. And then we really found out the meaning of I care for you, you care for me, and we care for each other, which is a very deep meaning, for that. And I also found out that the grieving process for males were not to be sexist, but the grieving process for males were not the same as females because of the culture of males where we would hold everything in. And it's not healthy. At the end of the day, it's not healthy. So being with the group and especially with Moles, which is a dynamic group of Roberta's House. It gives men opportunity to come together and express their grief. And they walk away, they come in one way, but they go out with an open mind and say, hey, it's all right to grieve, you know. So that's to me, that's very, very important.
So, in your 5 years of volunteering,
Mm.
what kind of volunteer activities have you participated in?
Okay. I've done several of the outreach uh, at the Baltimore Convention Center, the Elijah Cummings dinner, uh, where needed, you know. And then we had the sports night, sports day, so I was able to volunteer, help set up, and but going out to the various other organizations, being giving out resource, our pamphlets, and talking to the people, and I found that it's really surprising that when someone says, "Hey," and they read the literature, they did not know that Roberta's House existed, you know. And they said, well, this is something that I need to do. And I think, and even social workers don't realize that the program of Roberta's House, not all, but some don't even, because I've been to one of the health fairs and the young lady said, oh, I didn't know Roberta's House existed, you know. And
So, if you met someone who was having a difficult
mm-hmm,
time due to a loss, what would you say to them
mm-hmm,
about their grief and about
mm-hmm.
what's available at Roberta's House?
Well, I would tell them the first thing I would say, you have to have an open mind, you know. And once you set up a little tour of Roberta's House, get to meet the staff there and read the literature. You can go to the website and read their literature or talk to someone and get actively involved with one of the groups. You can pick a group that fits you because they have groups for homicide, then they have the other groups for families who have lost family members through through regular death. I happen to work with one of the homicide groups and I work with the teens because it's hard to get teens to express their grief. So I find that Rays of Hope is meaningful for the teens and the adults also. But like say, my volunteer is mainly with the teens and the young adults there. You know, but the resources going out there letting the public know that, hey, Roberta House is here for you. And it's a safe place. That's the key. It's a safe place to be, to share your story. Because everyone, when they first go, they just sit there staring, not knowing that, hey, it's time for me to share my story. But once they see everyone else sharing their story, then they get on board and say, hey, I can do the same thing. And then when they leave the meeting, and then they make good friendships because I've seen through the process that during the end of the sessions they start collecting phone numbers so that they
Mhm.
can keep in touch with each other and also not only keep in touch but to still show love and caring, which is very, very important through the grieving process.
Do you have a special message for men who are grieving and may feel that they have to hold it all in? What would you say to them?
To them, you have to open up and you have to let your manhood or machoism leave that at the door, you know, because I find that which happened to me, the longer you hold your grief in, you'll snap. And when you snap, it's at the wrong time. And it's not a healthy thing, because I was, I forgot where I was, but I kind of remember. And I just went ballistic. And everything that I had held inside came out. And it was the wrong time. So men need to get on board and share, and open up, and it's a great book called Men Do Cry. And if they get that book, it's a very good book. And it lets them know how to express their grief and all. And also, because they just want to be strong for the family, you know, and not caring about themselves, when they need to understand that they need to have self-help and self-care. So that means taking care of themselves as well as the family, So that's to me that's the key. And I wish more men would volunteer with Roberta's house because we are short volunteers there.
And so my last question
Mhm.
is, so you've been volunteering for 5 years, so clearly you see some personal benefit out
Yeah.
of being a volunteer. Can
Mhm.
you share what you're getting out of this experience?
It's still helping me through my grieving process. As you said, the grieving, the your grief doesn't stop today or tomorrow. It's continuing, So when you see someone else, you try to embrace what they're going through, You may not want to share with them, your journey, but to me it's good because I always share, what I'm going through, and I find by sharing my grief process, it helps the other person too, because they say, "Heck, you're a volunteer, but you've been through this, and that's
Yeah.
the key." So it makes a big difference, if you've actually been through the grief, through a grief, death, and you come back and step in as a volunteer, and it's healthy for you, and you can live another day.
Right. So, do you have any last words? Anything that you'd like to share that I haven't asked?
Just volunteer. Give
Good.
up your time, and it's rewarding if you give up your time, because that's why I volunteer with like 5 different groups since I've retired, and it's my way of giving back to the community because a higher power has seen me through different things. So this is my way of giving back to the community, be it with Gilchrist or with Roberta's house. So volunteer is the key.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mhm.